All right, I think we're back. We're almost back. It's live video is starting. We can see people, but I don't know if we're quite in yet. It'll be there shortly. We are now live. All right, sorry for any technical difficulties. Hopefully we're able to continue hearing the audio for a little bit there. Got a little quiet perhaps. And we have about 10 minutes left, so we're going to kind of, I think, maybe shift gears to talking about personal goals. And John, you're the one that introduced this idea to us earlier. And we kind of talked about it. It's tough to shift from business goals and actually think about our personal lives. So you want to speak a little bit to that and maybe give us some tips on how we can look within or look at our lives and figure out what kind of personal goals make sense for us?
Sure. So what inspired, I myself have overlooked setting personal goals before too. And something that at the end of this 2024 year that inspired me to actually set intentional personal goals was when people would ask me what my hobbies were, I had no answers for them. And this is post opening a business. And it's because, like we talked about earlier, as a business owner, you are your business.
Yeah.
To keep it running, you're the lifeblood, you're the engine. And burnout can come very quickly if you're not feeling motivated or inspired by your business, especially in a season of push or when it's hard. So having these personal goals, things that fill you, that inspire you in your personal life outside your business, are super important. So for myself, I'll just talk about what mine is. I got into triathlons over the last couple of years and started small with the shorter ones, and I've always had a goal to do an Ironman, and so I've done a couple halves, and my goal for this 2025 is to do a full. And I was talking earlier to John about how I have an A, a B, and a C goal. My C goal is just to complete the Ironman. My B goal is a reasonable goal, and that would be to do it under 13 hours. And then my A goal is a more lofty goal, but still attainable, or possibly attainable, and that would be to do it under 12 hours. And I did that just without getting into the nitty-gritty, just some math off previous performances and what I know I can do based off those numbers.
That's fantastic. And as I said earlier, I can't even imagine running, biking, swimming for 12 hours, let alone 13 or more.
But that's what inspires me, right?
Yeah.
What inspires you is different.
Yeah. And so I had shared earlier, because Dave, I'm going to steal yours. You're talking about writing a couple books, and I would really love to write a book. And that may fall a little bit into the businessy category. So I'm still thinking about, like, I've actually recently started doing puzzles. And kind of set it up in the living room, and the kids will join me. And we did it through this season last year. And when the weather started to get nice again and we could go outside, I found it was very difficult to stay connected to the puzzles. So we kind of hung them up for the summer and the fall. And just recently, right after our Christmas party, we broke out a new puzzle. And then I got 3 new puzzles for Christmas. So
well, you're also an expert at Rubik's Cube.
I do enjoy the Rubik's Cube. I'm not a speed cuber by any stretch, but yes, I was actually working it today, and I realized it's one of those things, if you don't do it regularly, you lose it. You lose that algorithm skill. So I do enjoy the Rubik's Cube as a hobby, but I have to think a little more about it.
4 minutes, 13 seconds to juggle 3 Rubik's Cube and solve them.
Oh goodness. I could potentially juggle and solve, because I'm good at juggling, and I've been able to juggle and take bites out of apples.
Tickets go on sale for this, by the way.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh, the pressure's on.
Yeah, we're going to promote you.
So mine is actually pretty clearly or easily stated. It's 170 in 2025.
Awesome.
So I've done it once. I've already, I've been down to that, and my stamina and health and things were much better. So I've got to get serious and get back to where I know I function better.
Awesome. I love it.
So.
Me?
Yeah.
Got a lot of writing to do. I'm thinking seriously about writing a book about relationships, and probably write it with my wife, Kay. We've been asked to do that
Good.
several times from couples that saw what we have and seem to want to know more about that.
You guys have been together for a little while, huh?
Yeah, we've been together 28 years,
28 years.
and
That's awesome.
we also went through relationships before that. So when we got together, we had a pretty good idea of what we didn't want
Yeah,
and what was possible, and it's been good
good.
that way. So a lot of writing for me.
I like it. Yeah. Well, and between the fact that you have a published book or more than one, right?
I have one, just one so
One
far.
published book. I really do. I've been talking about it for a long time. I think I'm gonna put it out there. My goal is to get a book written.
Do you remember a book years ago called When Good Things Happen to Bad People?
I feel like I do remember that, but that's kind of a common expression, so maybe I'm just.
Yeah, it was an
thinking of the
international bestseller, and it was by a guy named Rabbi Harold Kushner.
expression.
When I was trying to figure out what to do, and I thought that I was supposed to do the standard thing of find a publisher and do all of that, I ran into a professor at Loyola University, Professor White, and I became friends with him, and he had written quite a few things. And we were talking one day, and I was telling him about this book that I was working on and all that. And he said, "Do you have an agent?" I said, "No, I don't know nothing about how to do all this." He said, "Well, I'm going to put you in contact with mine." Okay. And this guy lives back in Amherst. And it was set up that Professor White wrote a letter to him on my behalf and said, "Please take this, my friend Dave's call if you would." So that was all set up, and I get on the phone with him. And he said, and the first thing he said to me was, he said, "I would not pick up the phone had it not been for who recommended I talk to you. Who are you? What do you want?"
Wow.
Right? So I talked as fast as I could and told him, and he said, "Okay, send me a synopsis of what you're talking about." He said, "I'll try to read it in the next couple of weeks and get back to you." And he did. He got back to me 2 weeks later. And the first thing he said was, he said, "I don't think you ought to publish it through a publisher." I said, "Why not?" And he says, "Well, first of all, you're going to get 50 cents on the book." He said, "Secondly, they're not going to do any marketing. You're going to still have to promote it. And third," he said, "with Amazon coming out with, self-publishing opportunities," he said, "you'll make more money on each book sold, whether you sell 1 million or one.
Yeah.
You'll still make more. You'll make something that was more of a decent amount. If you sell a $19 book and you can have some of that back." So that was my big lesson.
Yeah.
The guy that was the agent giving me the advice is the one that was responsible for taking Rabbi Kushner's book around the world
Oh, wow.
and making it an international bestseller.
Huh.
And I carry that badge of pride with me that I had 10 minutes on the phone with this guy and he actually helped me.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool experience.
That's
So do it. Go ahead and figure on self-publishing, I think.
Yeah. Oh,
They just make it too easy.
yeah.
And I think the other important thing about that too, related to it, is it really, with all the tools we have, it all comes down to accountability. I've published 2 books because simply I am in an accountability writing group, and we started out with, we call ourselves rapid writers. The idea was writing a 90-page book and getting it onto Amazon should be something you can do rapidly, as in a month,
Yeah.
to get, because that many words is not a big challenge.
Sure.
And things, and so getting it formatted and things and published, all the tools are there. So it really comes down to just setting aside the time and just doing it. So
Yeah.
I wrote my first big dream book was to be a published writer. I took a topic that was important to me at the time, which was productivity. And I just brought all kinds of different tools and things that I found appealing together, and I shared that. And the second one I wrote was more topical for the business. I saw a gap in small business owners doing cybersecurity, and the gap was they're not writing it down. So I wrote a book on how to write policy.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
You got a dozen books in you, John,
I do. Honestly, like I think in books.
and it's fulfilling. My wife did the cover.
Yeah,
And I'm just so proud of how
That's
it all
cool.
came together, but I had to think of everything.
yeah,
What do you want on the spine? How do you want it to look?
yeah, Okay.
It's a great experience.
yeah, good. All right, well, I'll lean on you guys to help with that. And I think we can all lean on each other. I think, John, you're probably the only one that doesn't really need the accountability. You feel like you're like,
Oh, I
Bam.
need the accountability, for sure. I wake up every morning and don't want to do it
Oh,
as
good.
much as the next person.
okay, good, yeah.
An honest man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we actually, I think we've joked about this a little bit, maybe at least you and I, John. I've recently set up a cold plunge at my house, and I haven't been back in it. I have lots of excuses, which is humorous to this conversation, but there was this moment that I had when, there was ice on it it was cold enough for that, and I stood in my kitchen, and I in my mind, I walked down to the bedroom to go take a shower. I walked out to go to the cold plunge. I walked in, and I have no idea how long I stood, just totally frozen, like, no, and yeah, so that's,
If I may for a sec, so they did a study it's a longevity study and how long people live, and there's an area of the brain, I couldn't answer the name of it right now, but there's an area of the brain that grows larger, they've found in people that live longer. And the area of the brain gets stimulated when you consistently and frequently make choices that you don't desire to make. So
Interesting.
you're making.
yeah,
Now the catch there is it has to be something you truly don't want to do. Like at any given time, if you started to really enjoy hopping in that ice bath,
yeah,
it wouldn't be stimulating to that area of the brain any longer. You have to
fascinating.
consistently take that first step into
Wow.
the something that you don't want to do. So
That is huge.
yeah.
That is huge. Like the implications of that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, similar to the last thing that we did a deeper dive into, like I could sit on that for an hour. Like, wow,
Mm-hmm.
that is,
We're all going through a whole list now of things we hate to do.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. And why it's good for you.
it's so good. Wow.
Thank you.
That may be the topic for next week. We might just dive right in.
Wow.
Actually, next week we'll be in 2025. So
All right.
as we sign off here, and I actually allowed us to go into a little bit of bonus time because of our little hiccup there with technology. But as we sign off, I think maybe let's just, embrace that 2024 is over. This is it. This is the last broadcast of 2024. I appreciate you guys joining me for these conversations, and
Appreciate you.
the invite out to everybody that's listening, that's chimed in, that sees the video afterwards. We'd love to have you here in person. We've got a few more seats at the table, and we can expand if necessary. So come help us diagnose problems and bring your own insights into this conversation. Each one is valuable, and appreciate you guys. Any thoughts as we throw this out there?
No, just wishing everybody a successful 2025.
Absolutely. And we'll see you in the new year.
And tell your friends to jump on here.
Yeah, and write some comments. Let's get the conversation going. We'll see you all next time. Thanks so
Okay.
much.